tutorial video. In today's video, we're going to be looking at a medium-sized anime butt. So, this is basically what we would see on our sort of classic anime girl figure that we did before. So it'll be pretty similar to our small one, but this time it's just going to be a little bit softer looking. It's not going to be so much bigger, but it's not going to be as shaped, and it's not going to be as firm looking. So, like what we did before, we'll just start with a shape facing away from us slightly. So that way we can see the glutes relaxed from the side. So I'm just gonna put in a line like so with my center line here. Make sure the hip facing us has more room to work with than the one away from us. That'll help with the overall perspective of the character. And we'll connect those. Bring up the hips, like so. From there, I like just popping in my back. You're gonna see a little bit of the belly. This. Then, we can drop in our legs. So starting off the front, so I'm keeping this plumper and softer than before. And then I can just plop in that one as well. And we'll worry about this other thigh in a second. Alright, so now what we want to do is, following this sort of back line that we sketched in, we're just going to bring down and curve like so. Both sides, and then we'll make it a little bit less shapely in this. So I am gonna bring this in a little, straighten it out there. There we go. I'm just looking for a shape that I like in there. We don't want her butt to be super perky. So, kinda keep it from getting too bubbly on us. And just keeping a straight angle down and then really curving in at the base. So straight, little curve, then really tuck in at the bottom, like that. That off. Now we'll look at the character walking away from us. So again, we're going to angle our hip line slightly up like this, right? Then we can drop in our center line and our hip line roughly evenly. Because we want the hip on the side where the leg is going towards us to be ever so slightly higher than the hip with the leg going away from us. And we can put in a little back line, connect to the back. This hip is a little too shallow for my liking, so I'm just going to drop it down slightly. Nothing too crazy though. I just want a little bit bigger section here. And we can come in here and mark this off, because why not? Here's our hip, that's not going to move. And we'll drop in our thighs. So we're going to put one leg coming back towards us like so, the other away from us, so they'll slightly look like they're overlapping like this. Then starting from this hip, I'm just going to make a nice, gentle, smooth curve like so. As well. Say shape like this, and then I'll cut off that leg. Same thing with over here. Alright, so now we've got our basic thighs, and those will get adjusted and rebalanced as we're adding in the glutes. So, like with our previous tutorial, this glute on this side that is pulling the leg back is going to have a lot more of an intense shape and action So what we're gonna do is we're gonna really exaggerate the curvature and the pinch. And then when we reach the glute, we're going to bend our cheek over it like so. But we really want an exaggerated pinched glute like this since it's contracting. So then on this side, we're going to keep this glute just under that one. And then we're going to poke it out like so. So this time there will be a slight breakup in the shape here, so it's shaped like this rather than just straight down. Just because she's got a little bit larger glutes than our character before. And then we'll just add another line right there. We want it roughly even with this other line. This is just the inside of the glute right here. And there we go. So now we will get into the line art, and then I can give some explanation as to what's going on here. So, little back curve, and I'm just sort of blasting through this part here because we're mostly concerned about the glutes. So we just want to connect over some of the, well, trace over some of the lines that we came up with during the construction line phase. Add a little bit of curve there. This. Cut this off. Like so. Then I'll drop this one in and start explaining. So again, we really want this cheek pinched. And then it has to come up and over this thigh. And we'll cut that off. Add in our simple portion here. I'm going to start with the glute on this side. Again, really pinch it in at the base. Listen, it's raining hard where I'm at, so hopefully that's not really coming through on my microphone. My microphone tends to pick up everything around me, so hopefully the quality isn't too bad. Put that there. Alright, so now we'll take a look and see what's going on here. So, again, this is a medium butt, so it's not going to be quite as shapely. She's not like athletic or something like that. Just sort of a classic shape here. Still going to be a little bit perky. There's a lot more mass, so again, the glutes are at their largest, kind of near the bottom on this character because she doesn't have real perky glutes. They're just kind of have a lot more meat and they're just hanging down. We still want to we want to make her look as soft as we can. So that's why everything needs to have a nice, like, roundness to it. Especially this shape here coming out from the glute. We want that to look nice and plump. Over here, same thing, and we want the thickest part of our thigh to be up in this area. So again, we're just trying to we don't really want anything rigid except for like this line here. And you can have kind of a more rigid line for like your rib line like this. But we're trying to use as much soft lines as we can to really help push the sort of softness and femininity of this character. Same with down here. Only this time, because this glute is in action, I'm going to kind of shrink this line. But anyways, because this glute is in action, it's pinching over this way, right? So we're not really seeing the glute out like this. She doesn't have big enough glutes for that. But it's really pinching exaggeratedly out to this direction here because it's pulling this leg back, right? So it's pulling this leg back this way and towards us. Whereas this glute, shrink this line here. We don't want this line too exaggerated. But this glute is going to be a lot smoother because it's being stretched away from us. So it's not as exaggerated of a curve at the bottom either, and it's not as plump because it's being stretched and pulled away from us. And then, because she's got enough meat here, we can then sort of follow this line, kind of like how I do on my calves, right? So if I have my little glute bump, I start my thigh line like this rather than just popping it out. Because if we were just popping it out, she'd have to have really big thighs, which we will see later. But for now, that's basically it. You just, again, I cannot stress this enough, is just try to make your lines look as soft as possible. Because we just want this entire area of the glute and the thigh to look really nice and squishy. So just keep that in mind, and it'll kind of make the character look a little bit nicer. Keep their sort of girly qualities. If you make them too rigid, then they start to look like dudes, and we don't want that for this anime girl. So that is all for part 1. In part 2, we'll look at the same character but sitting. So hopefully this was helpful, and I'll see you in part 2.